around us. I know for a fact that this is true, for our club in the last school year alone has doubled in size, a drastic change from what it was when I entered college as a freshman. Because of all these things, I am proud. I am proud of our members who together make up the soul of FASA. It is through all of them, standing in the wings and some in the audience today, that we embody the elements that make up the best of Filipino and American culture. Together we realize that these elements are one and the same, a force of optimism, love, diversity, acceptance in our own small but powerful way. I am proud of our exec team for creating such an integrative culture within our clubbing community, who through rigorous academics have managed to help me support this organization and its members through all that we do. I am proud of our alumni, some of whom are here today. I've said this many times before, but FASA will not be what it is today if it wasn't for all of you. I am proud of our parents and family who together have shaped the personas and ambitions of our members. Sa ngalan po ng mga biyembro natin, mahal namin kayo. Alam ko po na may mga tao at mga miyembro ng mga pamilya natin dito na magbiyahe ng malayo. So pwede ko lang sabihin sa inyo na maraming salamat po sa inyong pagdarating, sa inyong support na nabigyan mo sa amin, at sa inyong pagdarating. Lastly, I would be remiss if I ended the speech tonight without mentioning our Culture Night chairs, our elected producers of this show with whom a production like this is made possible. I would like to introduce Angela Tianco, a sophomore psychology and government major, who is one of the warmest and funniest people I've ever met. When I think of a few select people who embody FASA, Angela's face pops up in my brain. Everybody in this club loves her, and she gives the best hugs. Then there's Alexis Bailey. She is one of the sweetest people who exist on the planet. In this day and age, it is hard to find somebody who is as composed, level-headed, and as cool as Lex. She can walk into a room and take charge while keeping everybody calm and relaxed at the same time. Lastly, there's Charles Balan. He and I have lived together in our freshman hall. We've bonded over Game of Thrones, probably. And we've been best friends ever since. I highly regard him as one of the greatest and purest people I know, and I'm infinitely envious of his innate intelligence and his multitasking abilities. These three wonderful humans have fought through days of never-ending to-do lists, logistical hurdles, requests from me, all the while organizing every facet and detail of the show while working through the rigorous academic schedule at this already rigorous institution. I am pleased to introduce them to you today. A round of applause for our Culture Night chairs, everybody. Enjoy the show.
Mabuhay! Welcome. We are so excited to have you here for the Filipino American Student Association's 2018 Culture Night. My name is Angela Tiago.
I'm Charlie Balan.
And I'm Lex Bailey. And we are your Culture Night co-chairs.
This year marks our first Saturday show and also our first ever show in Kimball Theater. We are so grateful to our president, Miguel Alexin, for working tirelessly to make this event possible. Please give him a hand. We would also like to extend our gratitude to all of those who donated to our Culture Night Fund, as well as our fundraising chair, and now Student Assembly President-elect Brendan Boylan, who together allowed us to raise the most money we have ever had for the show. Give them a hand. Tonight's show is a momentous occasion, not just for Culture Night history, but also for the entire organization of FASA.
This year's new class of members was surprisingly large, almost doubling the size of last year's outgoing class. While Culture Night season usually allows us to bond with the new members, it was different this year, because by the start of rehearsals, we already felt close to them. Nevertheless, our new members have worked tirelessly during Culture Night season, coming to rehearsals for acting, singing, and dancing for 3 hours a night for 2 months. And we're excited for them to be able to show you all the results of their hard work and dedication. We hope that this show takes on the same meaning for them as it did for us, and that they feel inspired by this experience when leading next year's incoming class.
For me, Culture Night was what allowed me to become more involved with FASA. I remember seeking FASA out during orientation and being so excited to meet everyone in the organization. But unfortunately, as a first semester freshman, I ended up not being very active. Luckily, current senior Michael Blakely decided to take me in as his little after a weekend trip to UVA, and the following semester, Michael and his big, Julian, convinced me to take part in Culture Night. And despite all the late nights and the craziness of Tech Week, it was truly one of the best experiences of my life. Being a part of Culture Night gave me the opportunity to grow close to my fellow FASA members and inspired me to take up a leadership role in the club. This past year, working with my co-chairs and our new members has been an amazing experience, and I can honestly say that there is no other group of students with whom I would want to promote a greater understanding and appreciation of the Filipino and Filipino-American culture in the college and in the community.
I can honestly say that Culture Night is one of the best experiences that I've ever had. When I was a freshman last year, being in Culture Night inspired so many feelings within me. I was hesitant at first, because I had never participated in anything even remotely close to Culture Night. But with time, that hesitation had melted away, and I grew closer to my fellow FASA members. And with that came the feeling of gratitude. I was grateful, and I still am, for this experience allowing me to get to know the most genuine, beautiful, talented, hardworking individuals I have ever had the pleasure of meeting, and leading me to some of my closest friends. I remember last year, during the final moments of Culture Night 2017 Bayani, being overwhelmed with so many positive feelings. Happiness, pride, contentment. But the feeling that I always associate with Culture Night is love. Because by the end of Culture Night season, I could say that these people, my fellow FASA members, are my family away from my family. They're people that I've come to love and appreciate. That is why Culture Night is so important to me, and why I wanted to inspire these feelings in this year's new member class.
We've talked about how FASA can be best described as a second family on campus. I cannot begin to say how proud we are of our performers this year for the way they've responded to everything we've asked of them. Culture Night is the centerpiece of the year for FASA because it cements us as a family, while also serving as a conduit through which we can celebrate Filipino dance, history, music, and of course food, with our friends, family, and the broader William and Mary and Williamsburg communities. This year's show is called Gunitain Dekada 70’s, which very loosely translates to Remember the 70s. In 1972, President Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law in the Philippines. He would not relinquish power until 1986. One of the characters in our show is based on perhaps his most prominent opponent, Benigno Aquino Jr. Aquino was a complicated figure, but we wanted his own words to speak for themselves, so we drew heavily from his writings and speeches to create his dialogue. The Philippines has such a rich history of political struggle, and today we'd like to share a snapshot of that history.
Come with us and follow the journey of Professor Oras, Juan, and Benny as they explore the 70s. It is our pleasure to present to you Gunitain Dekada 70's. We'd like to wish you a happy Easter, and thank you for your support. Lastly, thank you to everyone who helped make this show possible. Enjoy the show.